What's up, everybody? How's it going today? It's Carpo here. I've got a few minutes before I have to leave. Take the kids down to see a movie. The school is having, every month or so, they have a movie Friday night. And I was thinking about how much I really don't want to go and sit on the floor and watch a movie, but how important it is to do so, because that is really what life is all about, is those moments, those experiences. And that's what I've discovered in my own life. The moments I've spent with family are priceless and worth more than gold. I wouldn't give up what I have for anything, for any amount of money. You know, they say there's a price for everybody, but honestly, family comes first. It's most important and crucial. And so that's not really relevant to my video here any more than the fact that that's the conclusion I've come to of enlightenment. Enlightenment just means being able to live day to day and express yourself, enjoy your experience with your family and friends, and just be present and exist in the now. You still have to acknowledge the future and the past, but living in the moment as best we can, and that it's an ongoing process. So I've had my interesting fascinations with Mid-Eastern religions and Buddhism and Hinduism, and have had my interests in past lives, karma, all these different types of basically crutches to understand. Maybe they're tools, maybe not crutches, but if you want to look at it that way, crutches are tools too. So without further ado, I should get to the point, which is my 10 rules to enlightenment. And these are lessons as I see them. And don't take this wrong. Believe me, it's complete sarcasm. I mean, these are true points, but the idea that they're rules to enlightenment is sarcasm. I think that word is just way overplayed, overused. It doesn't really have much meaning. And so many people believe that there's a certain state where you achieve an aha moment and that's it, you're enlightened. And if you believe that, you're completely mistaken. It just doesn't happen. And if it does, you're welcome to show me who is enlightened. You know, for example, if anyone would be enlightened, it would be the Dalai Lama, right? Well, I would say that he's one of the rare exceptions of people who truly are enlightened. And it's not because of his position, it's because of his attitude. I've listened to him speak. He's fascinating. He has interests in mechanics and science, and he reads and he goes online, and yeah, he's just a very interesting character. Character is what makes you enlightened, I guess. So, number 1, there's no destination. Awareness grows like a tree and cannot be rushed. So, in essence, that means just what it says and what I said a minute ago, which is that you can't overnight have a discovery. You will wake up one day and realize that all the work you've been doing on yourself to try to improve yourself, your soul, really has all been towards the purpose of just being able to be content with yourself and who you are. And I'm going to try to go through these quickly so I'm not, you know, spending half an hour on this video, but I'll go in more in depth maybe on another video. Number 2, one should always retain humor, take nothing too seriously, and that's a given. If you can't laugh, if your spiritual journey has taken you point the past of being able to laugh at absurd things, then I think you've missed something very crucial. And along those lines, and something else I didn't include, which is to embrace negativity. I'm reading out of my little journal, by the way. I keep all my notes in here, so I just wrote these down yesterday, and I was trying to, you know, keep them so I don't lose them. Number 3, each reality is unique, and therefore each enlightenment varies wildly. And that's exactly very simple and straightforward. No two people are going to have the same awareness or awakening. You know, you may give a person a wink and a nod and think they understand what you're talking about, but what's important isn't that we have the same awakening, the same realizations. It's just that the ones that we do have are important to us and help us to become better people. Number 4, the process is not constructive, it is completely destructive. So be prepared to tear down walls, and it can be painful. The more you start to understand about the world and the things around you, and many of my viewers are people like me who seek and search and know how painful it can be to tear down those walls. It's especially painful when you start getting into the scientific paradigms and realizing that science isn't the enemy of religion, but that it's a companion, and that science can eliminate a lot of the bullshit that religion brings forward and spiritual beliefs, but leaves enough to where there's still a question. And those are the real important questions for me. Not the ones that we can't explain over and over, but the ones that we don't understand. For example, Madame Blavatsky used to talk about how absurd it was that molecules can move in the mind. And by the way, she was either delusional or a scam artist, one or the other, but she was a very intelligent woman and very scholarly. I'm not going to get into theosophy. But she talked in her time about how molecules couldn't move in the brain to create thoughts. And at that time they didn't realize yet that electricity is actually what's communicating between these neurons. So as the future brings forward new scientific discoveries, it kind of disputes what we want to believe is true. And that's okay. Everything that can be destroyed by truth should be. And that way we can get to the bottom of, the important questions, It doesn't mean we can't have our own delusions and our beliefs. It just means that if we can destroy them, I think we should. Because it can only lead to better understanding, which helps us lead better lives. So number 5, beware of false prophets and idols who promise you the truth. I learned long ago to be wary of anybody who puts truth in their into their speeches. This is the truth. I'm telling you the truth. It's like if you are, then just tell it. It doesn't have to be justified as being the truth. But the false prophets, like I said the other day, it's not that they are all liars, because if you believe it, it's not a lie. And a lot of people convince themselves over time that they really are who they are. I've seen enough fake, fake pastors, fake Christians, healers, to know that there's enough out there to be wary of anyone who's promising you the only path to truth. Number 6, if you cannot share your discoveries, be wary and ask if it's truly useful. And this is one a lot of folks only discover way later in their study of themselves, that they realize all these things that I believe to be true, and this is especially true, say, in the conspiracy phase, or studying religion or the occult or whatnot, and a person says, well, can I use this knowledge, or is it just knowledge that I can tell other people, hey, I'm into this and this is what I know? Knowledge has to be useful. It doesn't mean you have to use all the knowledge you have. It just means that what good is it to study it? And that's something we should always ask ourselves and be careful about. But more than that, we want to be able to put our put it into words so other people can understand where we're coming from, because we're all facing the same dilemma in life, many of them. Number 7, friends, family, and experiences should be an important discovery. And that's what I mentioned at the beginning, that's what I found the most important. The time we're going to go to this movie in a bit, and to get the most of it. It's like anyone who's had kids, and especially kids who have already left home, will tell you, get the time with them while you can, because it goes by so fast. But you also have to make time for yourself, so you have to find balance in life, and that's crucial. And anytime you lean to one extreme or the other, of course, you find that things go awry, if you will. But family is crucial, and that's all there is, really. Family and friends, connections, experiences, doing things with people. In my experience, and that's not for everyone, of course. But I think that for most people, it's a crucial aspect. Number 8, don't assume you must be empty-minded to learn. Some tools, such as critical thinking, must be retained, though adjusted. And what I mean by that is, you hear a lot about saying, forget everything that you've learned, and forget everything you know, and just start over and rethink everything you know, and everything you know is a lie. It's not true. A lot of what you know is true. You have something in your heart and some intellect, some emotional intelligence to be able to distinguish when somebody's lying to you, or when something sounds too good to be true, or when something sounds fishy. So be open-minded enough to accept other people's ideas and things you hear, but be critical thinking enough to be able to distinguish when your bullshit meter goes off. Number 9, question everything, but realize some truths are important to survival. What I mean by that is basically along the lines of the previous one, but this goes more along the lines of how people say, well, there is no truth and nothing really matters. Hey, we don't really exist. Oh, atoms are mostly empty space. Oh, everything's an illusion. We're living in the Matrix. Forget all that bullshit. None of that matters. Regardless of what you label life, a matrix, a dream, confusion, it doesn't matter what you call it. it exists and we're in it. So making the most of it is what's important. So instead of trying to define things, try to experience them, I guess, is in my opinion. But some of these truths are important to our survival, things that we need to know, like how to filter water. You can say all day long that nothing's for sure, but certain things you can learn that can actually help you in life. Number 10, embrace your mortality for what it is and revel in your time to bloom on earth. And I think of humans as a blossom. We bloom and we die, and new flowers take our place. The soul of the flower, the spirit of the flower is always there. The essence can remain long after the flower is gone. And traces of the flower can be left, and the same can be said for us, and we should be content to say we don't know for sure where we go or what might happen, but that there may be a spirit realm or somewhere we travel in another place afterwards. Perhaps you do have to achieve some sort of monkdom or spiritual nature to get to a certain point. The thing is that there's no real evidence to show that to be true, so it's a choice to believe in it, not a fact. And I think that, this is hard for me because I want to believe that there is something I could believe in that some other man has created, some other person through history. But from what I've seen so far, all belief systems are very limited. I have too many questions, more than answers. But I believe enlightenment is a true thing. It's just something that is learned through a variety of different processes and understandings. Besides that 10, I put a few more on the other side because there's a million notes. And number 11 would be, don't dismiss the material realm. You're not above it, you are it. The body cannot transcend the body-mind. When I hear this so much in the New Age philosophies that, you need to go beyond your primal self and your three-dimensional self, your animal mind, your reptilian mind. No, you don't. You need to get over some of your primal instincts, maybe to fight back. You need to control your emotions a little bit. But emotions come from that primal place. It's what makes us who we are. And I see many people who seem to become emotionless when they get into extreme belief systems. It's almost like they've lost the ability to laugh or to cry. It's just this is what I believe and this is my focus. So I think it's crucial to always keep ourselves open. A lot of people, I guess, in the past, I guess I would be considered like, not a heretic, but, there's definitely a word for it, a heathen, I guess. I like to have fun and dance and go to parties. That was a huge part of religion, was festivals and parties before. But it's interesting, I learned that when, especially when they came to America, when whites came to America and brought Christianity and the Protestants came over, they saw the Native Americans were dancing and celebrating in bright colors, and that actually influenced American culture to wear lighter color or more plain colors, and to no longer have festivals because they didn't want to be associated with the heathens, the Native Americans, the animals. So that's how people felt, and look what it did to culture. It's like partying, having those festivals is what life's all about, and celebrating death is a huge thing. Not being, pitiful and crying over it for ourselves. But every culture is different. But the thing is, living those primal things are what make us who we are. Living in this world, the real world. And number 12 is integration. The goal is simple, to integrate. Integrity. It just means to become part of it all. And I think that that's something we should all do. Do it more often because we are focused more on it, rather than saying we're above this or beyond the human realm, to really be part of it. None of these things like Western yoga or what we consider to be spirituality do any justice to my belief to the long-term realizations that we have to have that take decades. And I've been working on certain components of it in my life over a couple decades at least, and it's it takes a long time to integrate and really understand things, and then go over them in your head and figure out what's garbage and what's not. And believe me, I've been let down a lot of times in things that I wanted to be true, but it's made me a happier person and a stronger person because of it, because nothing scares me now. I don't have to shut my ears to other people. I can listen to any opinion, and I think that that's important. Just remember that you can't unsee the truth. So if you take that path of discovery, you can't unsee what you've learned, and it can be a painful endeavor. And one other note I took was different times of the day you'll have different feelings about things. You'll feel defeated sometimes, you'll feel like growing sometimes, you'll feel like working sometimes. And remember that. If you decide to take on a practice like meditation, or if you have a particular thought, just consider the time of day. Because for me personally, it very much affects my mood and emotion. And there are a lot of old practices that understood this, especially some Hindu practices. But I won't get into that. There's different body types. There's Vata and Pitta and Kapha, and a lot of it has relevance. So it's not like all the ancient jargon and you know, as far as spiritual things go, there's a lot more to it than just our beliefs. And there's a lot of truth to it, and we have to understand how these things operate. I think that's it. I should go now. So first, you know, you wake up, then you integrate, and you don't want to dismiss any knowledge. And one thing I would like to say also is that psychedelics are a huge component of this, and I was questioning today, you know, regardless of whether we believe in a higher power or a connection in the universe, I have a very difficult time assessing why psychedelics show us this side of things, why they connect our brain in such a way where we are so more coherent, and what you would call headspace. And for those who haven't used psychedelics, you wouldn't understand. But most drugs put you in a, you know, however they affect your body, you're still present, but you're in physical space. Sometimes you're even kind of dull to this space. When you're on psychedelics, you're not just clearer in that space, but in your head space. Closing your eyes can be a giant cathedral of thoughts and ideas, and you can process so much more. But the thing that always comes together at the end and always becomes important is family, connection, and living life to its fullest. So I'll save that for another one. Psychedelic video comes another time. So I'm going to head off and watch Cars 3 with the kids, and I'll talk to y'all later. Peace and love, and have a good day. Thanks to all my patrons. Thanks to all my subscribers. Thanks to all my friends and family and everybody who's made this life fucking amazing. Take care.